What is up, everybody? Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Marvel Rivals. Today we are going to do a quick guide on Iron Man. This character is pretty simple. There's not a whole lot to go over, but there are a couple things that you want to know about this character that will make him a little bit easier to play in PvP. Things you want to be aware of if you're taking him into ranked for the first time, all of that sort of thing. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So to start off, he does have his left click, which is just these pulse cannons. Pretty simple basic ability. The projectile speed is pretty slow, so make sure that you are leading targets appropriately or placing them appropriately, that sort of thing. It does not have a headshot modifier, so you don't need to go for headshots with this, but go for body shots. As you can see right here, we'll do some splash damage. The splash damage kind of tickles, but the body shots will do some pretty big damage. There also is no damage drop-off, so you are doing the same damage from any range. Just if you hit a target, you're going to do that amount of damage, and if you hit splash damage on a target, you're also going to do that same amount of damage. So be mindful of that. The other important thing to note is that when you're doing splash damage with this, whether I hit a target from there or whether I hit a target from a little bit closer, the splash damage doesn't change a whole lot. So hit this where you can hit the most targets. Hopefully there's a couple targets around a singular target. You can get a body shot on the main target and get a little bit of splash damage on the other ones. So definitely try to do that. The next ability that Iron Man has is his little beam. So ordinarily in the left-hand side or bottom left-hand side of my screen, you can see that it has 100 ammunition. I'm playing with no cooldowns right now for the sake of this demonstration, so that won't be going down for me, so I can hold this down forever. But in an ordinary game, that 100 out of 100 would be counting down, and that is how long you can hold this beam. This beam does not have the best range, so as you can see, if I hold it about here, it's not actually hitting the target, but when I get a little bit closer, it does some pretty good damage. It is completely hit scan, so if you can track targets, you can definitely hose them pretty quickly like that. This isn't something that you want to be trying to position to get in range of, like standing in front of an enemy and really dueling them like that, but it is good if an assassin is on your tail. You can kind of get above them, do a little bit of this, put a little bit of pressure on them, and sometimes you will get in a position where you can really just laser someone from above and you'll start doing some big damage that way. So that's his left and right click. Now going into his E. His E is something that you pretty much want to use on cooldown every single time because it augments all of his abilities, like his left click and his right clicks, and gives access to your F. So when you use your E, you get this little animation and you get this little kind of extra jetpack, and you get all this good stuff. So as you can see, our pulse blasts are going to be doing way more damage, so they are going to be hitting a lot harder. It'll be a 3-tap on Aluna Snow, and then we will also be getting a much heavier damage beam. It does some crazy damage, like you can kill targets in about 2.5 seconds. So it does not actually increase the range on the beam, so if you stand back here, as you saw, this is about the range that we were missing before, but doesn't actually hit, just increases damage. So don't think that you're getting any extra range out of this. It's just for the damage purposes of your left and right click. The other thing that your E does is actually gives you access to your missiles. So if you hit F, F just launches this little barrage of missiles. These will be on a cooldown, so you can't spam these like I am, but for the demonstration, that's what they look like. The spread pattern is pretty crazy, so you're not going to be getting consistent hits with this, but definitely weave this into your combos. You know, you can be going from up here. You can still move when you're doing it, so good way to throw in a little bit of extra damage. It is important to note that, actually, we'll just go into his shift first. So his shift is this fly. You can kind of do this. If you hit shift again, you halt, little animation, and you can see that I actually have a bar on the right-hand side of my screen there, and this measures the fuel that I have, but you can fly for a long time. If you're flying longer than that bar, I don't know where you are. You probably won't need to fly too long, but the one thing that you do get when you're flying is access to a different form of your F. So as we saw before, when you E, you get this form of your F, and you do a little bit more of a barrage, that sort of thing. But when you fly, you actually get kind of a different animation, and the missiles spread in a different pattern. So when you F, you do something like this. And these will launch kind of like forward and around you. It's pretty hard to hit. It's just really good disruption. Puts a lot of stuff on the battlefield for people to think about. I don't know if there's any sort of secret to getting huge value with this. I'm sure there is, but if there is, leave it in the comments, let me know. But yes, when you are flying, you will get access to your missiles like that. It is important to know that when you E, if you have already E'd, and then you use shift, you don't have access to those missiles anymore. You only have access to the missiles in this form. So you should know that when you're E'ing and you're flying, and if you're trying to do like a bombing run, strafing run, something like that, you will not have access to that if your E is currently active. So keep that in mind. The last thing that we're going to go over about this character is just his ultimate. Very, very simple. It does put you in a little bit of a precarious situation, so be careful when you use this. Try and use this from maybe around a corner or from a place of height when the enemy team doesn't know exactly where you are, because it does charge up. You can die in that animation before it actually shoots. The ult does a ridiculous amount of damage, so make sure you try and land this on as many targets as possible. It does do pretty good splash damage, so as you can see, I didn't even hit the Luna Snow directly, and I'm still one-shotting her. So you can hit, pretty far away, and it does a little bit of damage before it hits the ground and then when it explodes. So you don't have to be super accurate with this, but definitely try and hit, within a crowd of enemies, and you'll be doing some big damage, as you can see. So yeah, and just position yourself to where you don't die during the animation, because you are stock still and locked into this animation when you're doing this, and there is that delay. So that is Iron Man. He's a very, very basic character, can pump out a ton of damage from a ton of range. You don't have any damage drop off, so you can just be annoying. A lot of the times you will actually get teams to switch into picks that counter you, so definitely be a nuisance. Do as much damage as you can, chip away at enemies, and definitely look for priority targets that you can get some body shots on, because you can do a lot of damage and put a lot of pressure on them that way. And then also remember that you want to use your E on cooldown. Make sure that you are getting that extra bonus so that you can be doing maximum damage all over the place and doing a lot of value picks and a lot of value poke damage as this character. So I hope that helped you learn a little bit more about Iron Man. I hope you feel a little bit more confident taking him into PvP matches or competitive play. And until next time, have a good one. Bye-bye.